again. Okay, we're continuing our exploration to the self. And last time we met, we discussed how the theme of life, okay, and the theme of our lives is not to be perfect, to attain absolute perfection, okay, but rather it's to progress to perfection, okay, and our perfection is found in our growth, okay, meaning it's not the end goal that's important in our lives, okay, in this world, okay, it's not our external achievements, okay, but it's the strive to grow, okay, it's a strive to discover more and more of ourselves, okay, and to realize more of our own personal perfection. And as we realize more and more and reveal more and more, okay, that is our perfection within itself, okay, perfection through failure, okay, that's the theme of what we're discussing. It's like, first of all, these are kind of like keys. There's different thoughts that we've been discussing that you can get to various traditional Jewish sources, okay, and with these keys open up a totally new understanding. For example, there's a mission in Pirkei Avot in Masechet Brachot which discusses that there's a prayer that we say every day when we leave the Beit Midrash. You guys hear about this? There's a prayer that in Tzalach, there are people who actually say it, and there's a prayer that we say when we leave the Beit Midrash, okay? And what it says is that Anu Ratzin Vehem Ratzin, Anu Amelim Vehem Amelim. Okay, this is what the expression is what the Mishnah teaches. Okay, this is the prayer. Okay, Anu Amelim Vehem Amelim. We toil, we work hard, and they, meaning people who don't necessarily study Torah or working on other things, they also toil, they work hard. Okay? Anu amelim umekablim sachar. We work and receive reward. Vehem amelim ve'inam mekablim sachar. Okay, and they work and they don't receive any reward. Okay? And if you look at this on, take it for face value, it seems a little bit crude. Like, what does that mean? Someone who's a lawyer, okay, gets a lot more of a reward than what me as a rabbi gets. Okay, and their monthly income is much higher than my monthly income. Okay, and the same thing with a doctor. What you're going to say that a doctor who saves lives, okay, hasn't done anything important, okay, and he doesn't receive any reward for that. There isn't any accomplishment in his toil. So what does that mean? What's that contrast? So once we learn, okay, this concept of progressive perfection, okay, what Rav Kook calls hishtalmut, okay, progressive perfection, okay. Then what we understand is that people who come from a mindset of Torah, based on what we learned, okay, that the end goal is not the accomplishment, but it's the process, then it's the amel, it's the toil itself, which brings about reward. Okay? And that's a message which can be applied to everything in life. Okay, we mentioned in education, in work, in whatever it is. You went to Pekin, for example, here, you guys just gave me a great example. You went to Pekin, okay? If our mindset was that we have to, in life, we have to see the tunnel over there, the cave in Pekin, and we have to meet that oldest Jewish family from the time of the first temple, and we have to do all these things. Okay, then your visit over there was a total failure. Okay, but sometimes in life, and this is the important message. Okay, and it's something to internalize, and it changes the quality of life. Okay, for everyone. Is that sometimes, okay, success is not measured based on, checklists of things. Okay, but it's the process and it's the experience that you went through, okay, that's a perfection within itself. That is a success, okay? That is the checklist. It's the experience itself, okay? I'll give you an example, which I heard recently from Rabbi David Aaron from Israelite, from Araita. Okay, he says like this, it's like someone walks into an amusement park, okay? And he walks up to the first ride, I don't know, the Ferris wheel, let's say. He wants to start off, start off with an easy ride. So he gets to the Ferris wheel and he stands in line and says, oh great, no one's in line for the Ferris wheel, I'm in luck. So he gets up there and he goes to give his ticket and whatever it is. And the man running the machine says, no, I'm sorry, the Ferris wheel isn't working today, it's broken. Like, oh, that's a shame. So he goes over to the next ride, he goes to the, I don't know what, the name right? The what?
The teacups.
Teacups, excellent. Okay, he goes to the teacups. And he sees again, wow, maybe it's empty, it's not a busy day or something like that. Also no line. He goes up, the man who's in charge says, I'm sorry, the teacups aren't working today. And he's getting a little bit bummed out. He goes to the roller coaster, and the same thing, no lineup. The man says, it's broken. Okay, and he's totally disappointed, and he's about to leave, and he's cussing under his breath. What a stupid amusement park. Nothing works over here. I paid all this money for nothing. And then as he's about to leave, someone calls to him and he says, hey you, come over here. And he says, what do you want? He said, you can't leave the amusement park yet. He said, why not? He said, why? I really think I should leave. Nothing here is working. What am I going to do over here? So he says, no, you don't understand. You're the repairman. Okay, and with that perspective, that we're here not necessarily in order to enjoy the end goal, but we're here in order to enact the process, to enact the change on the world. Okay? Then it's a change in perception, okay, which changes the quality of life. Okay? What are we here to do? We're not here in order to be perfect, we're here in order to strive to perfection. Okay, and to bring the world to perfection. One more word on that thought, which I thought of this morning. It's an interesting thing. In the Torah, you never see the land of Israel being called the land of Israel, Eretz Yisrael. Rather, what's it normally called? You guys know? Canaan, Eretz Canaan. Excellent. Who is Canaan?
People who were here before us.
Okay, there were nations. Okay, there were several nations who lived here before that. But who were they named after? Canaan is
the Canaanites.
Canaanites, correct? But where did they get their name from?
Cain.
Cain and Abel. No. But close though. Very close. A couple generations later. What?
Cain's son.
Cain's grandson.
No. Canaan. Okay, Canaan was one of the children of Noah. Okay, Canaan was one of the children of Noah. Okay, after the flood, Noah comes out. Plants a vineyard. A few years later, he has wine. Okay, drinks it, becomes intoxicated. Okay, and then whatever exactly the story is over there. Okay, two of his sons, Ham and Canaan. Okay, do something which is highly immoral. Okay, what exactly happened is unclear, but it's not terribly important. But the idea is, okay, Canaan gets this terrible curse. Okay, and Canaan, if you look through scripture, okay, Canaan represents things which are highly immoral. Okay, and the people of Canaan were involved in very immoral things. Okay, immoral behaviors. Okay, so why is the land of Israel called Eretz Canaan, the land of immorality, if you will?
Because we have to repair it.
Excellent. Okay? Okay, because the perfection of the land of Israel. Okay, this is important for you guys who are here for a year in Israel. Okay, the message of the land of Israel is not to come to a place which is flowing with milk and honey. Okay? But what's milk and honey? It's things which you develop, things which you process and you grow. Okay, that's the message of this land. Okay, is that it's perfection which comes through our strife, through our work, through our toil. Okay, and it's this perfection that's a perfection of progression of the process. Okay, and that's the theme of life. Okay, is progressing, is growth. Okay, is growing through our mistakes, is becoming perfect through our mistakes and through our imperfections. That's part of our perfection. Okay, and it's not the end goal that's important, but it's a process that we undergo through that. Okay, and that, like I said, is a perception and a way of looking at life which really changes the entire quality of life. Okay, it changes the way that we live, and that's really an important message of Judaism. Okay, is what we're doing here. Okay, and what are we meant to do, and how are we going to gauge our success and our perfection? How are we going to gauge the way we look at our own personal perfection? How are we going to look at all the events and everything that we go through? Okay, that was what we discussed last time. Now we're going to get into a little bit of discussion of, so what are we made up of? Okay, how does, almost biologically, okay, how does this process of progressive perfection work? Okay, how does life work at the end of the day? Okay, so we're going to start off this week, today and Wednesday, God willing, discussing really the two parts of human being, okay? And we're also on the way going to, again, break certain paradigms that we had about certain Jewish concepts, okay? And enter into a new scope of how to look at ourselves, okay? So today I want to introduce to you a good friend of mine, the Yetzer Hara, okay, otherwise known as the evil inclination. Again, the title of today's share is the evil inclination. Just how bad is he? Scale from 1 to 10. What do you guys think? How bad? How evil?
As bad as you. Depends on us.
Depends on us, okay.
10.
A 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Right? Presumably, okay, it's pretty bad. Okay. If you were to draw the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, how would you draw him? What would he look like?
Exactly.
A bed.
Thank you. Picture me. Okay.
little
I'm the
devil
personification
on
of the devil to you. Okay.
Exactly like
That's the truth is my namesake Faust, I guess, is somewhat in Goethe's book. But anyway, yeah.
Dr. Faust.
Yeah. You use my grandfather's uncle.
Yeah.
No.
You would draw as your own shadow?
What?
Your own shadow, perhaps?
Your own shadow. Okay, interesting. You guys are very.
Artsy, man.
There's a bed. It's a bed.
What's that?
It's a bed.
A bed?
It's hard, it's a bed.
yeah, looks like a bed. All the good stuff.
All the good stuff in life. Okay, the Yetzer Hara, in other words. Okay, here's. Let's try to sum it up. Okay, the Yetzer Hara is this character. Okay, he stands over here whenever I have a decision to make, and he tells me what I shouldn't be doing, and tells me that I should be doing that. Okay, you said, for example, Josh, you said to wake up in the morning. So he says, "Nah, don't wake up. What do you need to wake up for? It's the rabbi's not going to show up on time anywhere." I don't know what he's going to say. Okay, and I don't know if you have this big cake in front of you and you already had 6 pieces and now you want to have a 7th piece, right? And you know you're going to be sick, so the little white angel is saying, don't eat it. You're going to be sick later, right? And he has like this aura around him, right? And the other guy, the red guy, okay, he's saying, "Eat it, what do you care? So you'll throw up all day, it's not so bad," right? He's like smoking and whatever it is, okay? So that's evil inclination, okay? He's the character on our left shoulder telling us to do things which are wrong to do, okay? So today we're going to argue. Does anyone disagree with that paradigm, by the way? Does anyone have a different vision of the evil inclination? For anyone, does the evil inclination sit on your right shoulder?
Left hand.
For the left hands.
For me.
I think it's just a question of priorities. But anyway, so the question is, who is this evil inclination? What are we supposed to do with him? Okay, and we're going to see that he's not quite as evil as we have always thought. Okay, and maybe I'll start off with one precluder. What's the word? Precursor. One precursor. Thank you. Okay, which is the following. We have a challenge. Okay, we have a challenge that, for the most part, okay, and not even for the most part. Our challenge is that we translate Hebrew, okay, into whatever native language it is that we're used to speaking. Be it English, be it American, which is different than English, I understand, okay? Be it German, be it Italian, okay? We're the Italians, by the way. They're little guy on the
Little. There is a big guy.
I was a bigger guy this morning, okay.
He was holding a club.
He's holding a club.
Mussolini was.
Okay, so anyway, so he so our challenge is that we translate. Okay, and it's not a bad thing. We were meant to do that because we have to understand what we're talking about. But the challenge is that every translation is also an interpretation. Okay, and when Judaism speaks in Hebrew in its authentic sense, okay, we translate it then to English or German or Italian or French or whatever it is. Okay, and the question is our translation congruent with and accurate to the original concept, the original term? Okay, mixed in with that, okay, that we're influenced by myriads of cultural and social influences that make us believe, okay, that what Judaism means when it says a certain term, okay, means one thing, when really authentically Judaism meant something completely different. Okay, we're influenced by culture, we're influenced by society, we're influenced by other religions. Okay, whatever it is our influences are, okay, sometimes we approach we approach these Jewish concepts, okay, with whatever preconceived notions we have, okay, right that we have, and wrong that we have, and it's not a judgment call, but this is just a reality of life, okay, and that's not necessarily what Judaism actually means when it says that term, okay. And a great example of that is going to be the word ra, resh ayin, okay. May I translate the word ra for me, please?
Evil or wicked.
Evil, wicked. Bad, you said? Bad. Okay.
Russia.
What's that? Russia, you said?
Egyptian god.
Russia.
Okay, so here's the challenge. Is that actually what it means?
Sorry.
Okay, that's Aramaic.
And it's Hebrew, English, Aramaic.
Hebrew. Okay, that's cool. So, but I don't mind arguing with the dictionary either. We're going to see that Rab does not mean evil at all today. Okay, let's begin. Where shall we begin? Where shall we begin? Let's start in the box. The first source in the box.
It's not on here.
Okay, see, it's not even there.
Just Reish Ayin.
Reish Ayin. Right, Reish Ayin.
Should definitely
It doesn't translate?
It's used often enough in Gemara.
It could be because it starts with the Aramaic and then it translates into the Hebrew. And
Thousands.
I'm not sure.
I've seen it. I have. Not thousands, but
Okay. Anyway, you
I've seen
can,
it quite a few times.
you can Wikipedia this word later, but we're going to see authentic Jewish sources and try to, again, develop a different paradigm to understanding Ra. Okay? When the goal is okay, realigning how we assess to the world and how we assess ourselves. Okay? Let's read the Tanya. Okay? Do you guys ever hear of the book Tanya?
Yeah.
Yes, what's the Tanya?
It's a Bryson.
Tanya is a Braita accent. You're absolutely correct, but I'm not talking about that at all. Okay? No, you're absolutely right. In the Gemara, when you see the word Tanya, then that's meaning that's quoting a Braita. Okay, so you're absolutely right. Okay, but there's a book called Tanya. Okay, which is. Any swipes at it? No, everyone thought like Saul. Okay, you guys were all right. Okay, Tanya 100% means that the Gemara is quoting a Braita. Okay? But there's a book called Tanya, okay, which is one of the central, maybe the central book of the Hasidut movement. Okay? Written by Rabbi Shlomo Zalman of Liadi, who was the first rabbi of the Chabad, or the Lubavitch dynasty. Okay, so he wrote this book called Tanya. Okay, he called it...
Blue books. Those little blue books.
Little blue books, they come in all different colors.
That must be the
It could be that you found a blue one. I personally have a big blue one, light blue. Okay, but they come in all different colors, okay? And he calls it Tanya, he calls his book Tanya because that's the first book, the first word of the book. Okay, because he's quoting a Braita from the Gemara in Masechet Nida. Okay? Anyway, so the book is called Tanya, it's by the first leader, okay, the founder of the Chabad or Lubavitch Hasidic movement. Okay? I highly recommend it, it's a great book to read cover to cover, okay, and to learn it in depth. Okay, because of the revolutionary ideas that he shares, and the vital lessons that he teaches there. We're going to start with the introduction, okay? And this is just important because I want to try to break up and to understand what we're going to be exploring the next couple of days, okay? And to explore our way of relating to ourselves. Okay, so Tanya, this is a quote from the first and second chapter of Tanya. Does anyone want to read? We can go straight into the English if you want. Anyone want to read the English over here? First source in the box.
Okay.
I'll do the English.
Okay. There were two volunteers. So Sam, you take the first paragraph, Josh will take the second.
Every Jew, whether righteous or wicked, possesses two souls, as it was written, and Neshama souls, which I have made. These are two nefashot, two souls and life forces. One soul originates in the Keli part, and the other side is this nefesh that is clothed in the blood of a human being, giving life to the body, as it is written, the nefesh of flesh is in the blood. From this nefesh stem all the evil characteristics.
Excellent, thank you.
The second Jewish soul.
1 second, Josh. I just want to point out the to point out the things that we're doing. Yes. 1 second, hold that there. Okay. Okay. Every single person is broken up into two neshamot, two souls. Okay, two life forces, two inclinations, if you will. Okay, what's an inclination? What does that mean, inclination? What does it mean that you have an inclination? I have an inclination to, I don't know what, to be lazy. I have an inclination to like art. I have an inclination to like heavy metal music. What does that mean?
An influence.
An influence, excellent. Okay, what else? Something which I'm drawn to, right? An influence. Okay, I have something which I'm drawn to. Okay, so in a person, okay, we're drawn to in two directions essentially. Okay, there are two things, two concepts, two themes, two forces, okay, which influence us. Okay, there are two directions in which we're being pulled, two things, okay, two worlds which we're looking for and looking to achieve. Okay, these are called souls or nefashot. Okay, and now we're going to study the two of them. Today we're going to study the first, and on Wednesday we're going to study the second one. The first one, okay, as Tammy read, originates in the klipa. Klipa in Hebrew means shell or peel. Okay, shell or peel. We're not going to get into what that means and why he calls it that. Okay, and the sitra achra. Okay, the other side. Does it sound scary? Anyway, it's pretty scary. The other side. Red Hot Chili Peppers have a song the other side, right? Okay, in their Californication album. Okay, the other side. Okay, here's what we're going to struggle with: is what does this mean? The other side. Okay, what is the other side? Okay. What is this nefesh? Okay, what is this life force? What is this inclination? Okay, the one from the other side. Okay, which we're also going to call the evil inclination. Okay, it is the nefesh. It is a life force. Okay, that is clothed in the blood of a human being, giving life to the body. Okay, for the nefesh of the flesh is in the blood. Okay, for the nefesh of the that rhymes a little bit. Okay, nefesh of the flesh is in the blood. Okay, so in the first inclination, okay, the first soul, if you will, okay, the first drive, okay, and by the way, the reason why we started with this one is because this is the first one which we encounter in life. Okay, the first drive that we encounter is the one which is the one towards our most basic bodily functions. Okay, ki adam hu nefesh. Okay, the blood is the soul, and the soul is found in the blood. Okay, it's the inclination, it's our draw. Okay, to the most basic life functions, bodily functions.
That's why we're not allowed to drink.
Sorry?
That's why we're not allowed to drink it.
That's why we're not allowed to drink
blood.
Why we're not allowed to drink blood, why we have to do kisui adam, if we do shchita, if we do ritual slaughter, then we have to cover the blood, okay, because the blood represents life, okay, the blood is our life force, it's our driving life force, okay, and from this inclination stem forth all our evil characteristics, okay, so there are two things that I want to point out before we get on to our more jolly inclination, which Charles is going to read to us about in a second. Okay, there are two things to point out. Okay, this other side, we're going to have to understand why it's called other side. The Yetzer Hara, by definition, is, okay, the inclination to preserve all our basic bodily functions. It's our basic life force. Does it sound bad to anyone? Evil? Okay, not too similar to the guy on my left shoulder, right? Okay? And the second thing that I want to point out is that the evil characteristics stem from this. Okay, it's not the sword. It's not the. It doesn't represent. It doesn't. It's not the. How do you say it? The evil inclination is not only about evil characteristics. However, the evil characteristics do stem forth from it. Do you understand the distinction I made?
It's the Yetzer, not the Yetzer Hara.
Pardon me?
It's like, it's just the Yetzer, the creative impulse, and then the Yetzer Hara comes from that.
No. We're gonna
What are you saying?
Exactly. That's exactly what I wanted to try to distinguish. Okay, is not like that. The Yetzer of the Sitra, but the Yetzer of the other side, the Yetzer Hara itself.
It's like a host.
Okay, one second. The Yetzer Hara itself is not only about evil characteristics, but the evil characteristics are an extension of it. Okay? The Yetzer Hara, okay, I'll say a sentence which, to clarify my point. Okay? The Yetzer Hara with and within itself is good. Okay? The extension of it is where it starts to get evil. Okay? Where the evil characteristics come from. Okay? Those are the 2 points I wanted to point out over here. We're going to get into the words and into the. We're going to study this concept a little bit more in depth, okay, to try to understand this concept, okay. But I'll finish one sentence. I'll get to you in 1 second. Okay. That means like this, okay. Killing someone, okay. Probably killing is the worst thing we can do. Agree? Disagree?
Embarrassing someone.
Embarrassing someone. Okay. may actually be worse. That's an interesting thing. I just thought about it for the first time. Okay? Because embarrassing someone in Judaism is considered paramount to killing, correct? But really it's worse, if you think about it. If you kill someone, okay, he doesn't have to walk around, with the label of being killed afterwards. He's dead already. But someone who's embarrassed has to walk around with whatever label you placed on his head afterwards. That's a sidebar. It's an important point they just made. Is that what you meant to say?
Obviously.
Take credit for it, man. You can go. What?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a serious thing. Okay, but killing someone. Okay, killing someone is probably a bad thing. Okay, but our inclination to kill. Okay, our inclination to kill is not necessarily bad. Okay, we'll get back to that example at the end once we define all our terms. Okay, the inclination to kill is not necessarily a bad thing, and it could be definitely be used to do great things. Okay, we'll get there. Okay, another example. Okay, this is an important way to understand Judaism in general. Let me take your question for that.
Is this concept not like this, that the body is the host for the Yetzer Hara?
The body is the host for the Yetzer Hara, and if we extend the body, then that will be something which is evil, which we call bad, which we call evil. Okay, but the body itself, even though it hosts...
the body itself, it's not bad.
It's not bad, correct. Exactly, that's what we're trying to say. Okay, it's the host of the Yetzer Hara. Okay, and depending on where you take the Yetzer Hara, it's going to define whether Yetzer Hara is good or evil. The question is, what does Ra mean, right? It doesn't Ra mean bad. No, it doesn't. Okay, we'll get there in 1 second. Okay, but another example. Okay, let's say for a Jew to eat pig, good or bad?
Bad.
Tasty.
Bad, not good, correct? Right? For a Jew to eat pig is not good. Okay? Does that mean that the inclination to eat is a bad inclination? No, not at all. Okay? Because you can eat, korban shlamim with that very same inclination. Okay? But that's the source. The source for eating pig, okay, the source or the inclination, the influence, the want, the desire, okay, to eat pig stems from the Yetzer Hara, the same as the inclination, the want, the desire to eat korban pesach stems from that very same inclination. Okay? The body is good according to Judaism. The Yetzer Hara is good according to Judaism because the Yetzer Hara is hosted in the body. It's sourced in the body. Okay? We're going to define our terms in a second, but these are the 2 points that we want to try to understand. Okay? And it's going to change the way we look at our bodies, it's going to change the way we look at Judaism. Marital relations. Good or bad?
What?
Good.
What?
In Jewish thought, marital relations, sex. Good or bad?
Good.
Mitzvah.
Okay, good. Mitzvah. Okay, very important thing, very high value. Okay? But if brought to the wrong place, done in the wrong way, then it's definitely bad. But the inclination itself, okay, the sex drive, okay, inherently is not something bad. Okay, that's what we're discussing. Anything. Okay, that's a normal, basic bodily function. Okay, is not inherently bad. Okay, we can go through examples from here. Okay. So, like Mark said, okay, if Ra is going to be the opposite of Shalom, the opposite of wholeness, so that would imply that Ra, by definition, means divisiveness. Okay, apartness. What was the word you used? Separate, broken, pieces. Okay? Alienated. Something which is alienization. Okay? Something which is separate. Okay? That's what Ra is. Okay? Ra is something which is totally individualized. Okay? Something which is disconnected from a greater whole. Okay? Is that so bad, by the way? Is it bad to, worry about myself? Not necessarily. Right? Let's tie it back to what we just understood before, okay? That Yetzer Hara is sourced in the body, and it's the pursuit to preserve and to advance all basic bodily functions, okay? Then why does a person want to eat? To preserve his basic bodily functions, okay? For his individual needs, which is an important thing, okay? Which is an approved thing, which is something which we're all supposed to do. Okay? Okay, so Ra by definition, okay, let's see exactly what we see. We're going to see it in the Maharal. Okay, Maharal in Prague. Okay, we're talking about the 15th, 16th century, okay, in Prague, in Central Europe. Okay, important, very important Jewish thinker and rabbi. Okay, the Maharal says a very simple sentence. Okay, Shalom hu hashlimut. Shalom, peace. Okay, is wholeness. Shlemut, fullness, completion. Okay, vehara hu hefech hashlemut. And the definition of Ra, which we up until half an hour ago defined as evil, Ra actually means the opposite of wholeness. Okay, Rav Kook says the very same thing. Okay, if you look in the second source in the box, I'm just going to read the English. The source of all evil forces is divisiveness. Okay, and the prevention of unity. Okay? Again, that's not to say that it's inherently evil, but that's the source of all evil forces. Okay? He who is separated desires only to fulfill his desires and his wants. Okay? As it says, of course, a pasuk from Mishle. Okay? From Proverbs. Okay? Yetzer Hara is not the guy on our shoulder who's telling us to do bad things. Okay, he's the guy deep within us, an inherent part of us, okay, that not only are we not able to rid from ourselves, but we're not meant to rid from ourselves, who basically tells us to live a normal, biological, human life. Okay? Tells us to eat, tells us to sleep, he tells us to, do exercise. Okay? He tells us to have marital relations. Okay? He tells us to perform all these bodily functions. Okay? He tells us to drink, and again, the examples go on forever and ever. Okay? That's what the Yetzer Hara tells us to do. Okay? The far extension of the Yetzer Hara, though, okay? The far extension of it is going to be things which are evil. Okay? When I'm looking at only for myself. Okay? When my personal, individualistic bodily functions, okay, and biological life, okay, is not about the greater whole, okay, and is not connected to greater themes, and is not taken in perspective, okay, with the greater purpose of life, okay, but it's disconnected from that, okay. You mentioned before waking up in the morning, or not waking up in the morning rather, okay, which is not always so, but if it's going to be taken in a bad sense, then really what's the root of understanding not waking up in the morning is something bad? Because we have things to do in life. We have things to complete, we have things to achieve. Okay, we have something to bring to the world. Okay, and staying in bed is an expression, okay, of that I'm not part of something bigger. Okay? That my individual life, okay, is not part of a greater whole. Okay, it's taking my individual bodily needs outside of a greater context. Okay? And the same thing applies to all the other inclinations that I mentioned before. Okay, let's take this one step further. Okay, and then we're going to conclude and send this out. Okay, the Midrash tells the following lesson. Again, in the third source. Okay, the third source in the box is going to be our last source. Okay, I'll read the Hebrew, and then we need a volunteer to read English. Okay, this is a Midrash in Kehelet Rabbah. Okay, the teaching says the following: Nehemiah b'red Reb Shmuel bar Nachman Amar, v'hineh tov me'od, v'hineh tov ze yetzer tov, me'od ze yetzer hara, v'chi yetzer hara tov me'od, el lamedcha shilulei yetzer hara lo bana adam bayit, v'lo nasa isha, v'lo holid banim. Okay, translation, anyone? Again, two volunteers. Mark, go for it.
Nehemiah, son of Shmuel bar Nachman, said, "And behold, it was very good. Good is the good inclination, very is the evil inclination. But is the evil inclination indeed very good? For without the evil inclination, man would not establish a home for himself, and would not marry or beget children."
Excellent, thank you. Okay, so what's the message? What's the lesson that we're being taught over here? That beyond how the Yetzer Tov is good, what were you going to say? Go ahead.
No, just that good is a good inclination and very is a bad inclination. And if it's very good, then it's also bad. Or if I understand.
The opposite.
If it's very good, it's good?
The bad inclination is very good. That's the message over here.
Okay.
But is there not also that
Yeah.
good things can be physical things, but if it's very good, if it's too good, it's evil, which is why we've got to stay away from it.
That's what Arthur was just saying.
It's excess.
I think that the message over here is
It's
the opposite.
double.
It's true what you're saying, but I think the message over here is the opposite. I think the message that the Midrash is teaching us is that this concept of tov me'od, very good, refers to the evil inclination. The evil inclination is very good. How so? Let's say we take away the evil inclination, our inclination to want to eat, our inclination to want to perform any bodily function.
That's good.
Okay? Then what would happen if we don't want to pursue these bodily functions? Not much. We would die because, we would die of starvation. Okay? The world wouldn't continue because we're not procreating. Okay? Tov me'od, not only is it good, okay, not only are we praying, okay, but we're taking the evil again, which we redefine, ra, as divisiveness, as individualistic, okay, these personal bodily wants and desires and inclinations, okay, and now we're performing them and we're using it, we're taking it to a place, okay, where it's part of a much bigger picture, where it's part of the advancement of the world. And that's something which is greater than just good. Okay? That's what the Midrash calls very good. Okay? So not only, okay, let's sum up. Okay, and we're finishing up over here. Not only, this is what we learned today, not only is the Yetzer Hara not evil, this character sitting on my left shoulder, okay, telling me to, beat up the wimpy kid in class or to, go smoke and to go do all these, gangster things. Okay? But the Yetzer Hara, not only is he not that, okay, but the Yetzer Hara, what he is the inclination deep within me, not on my shoulder. He's deep within me. He's an inherent part of who I am, okay, which tells me, which influences me, which directs me to take care of my basic bodily needs, to live a human biological life, okay? And when we take that inclination, that Yetzer Hara, okay, when we take that Yetzer Hara, okay, and we incorporate it into the bigger things of life, that's something which is called which is called tov me'od. Okay? Because not only is it about, we prayed. Okay, we did, something spiritual. Okay, but we took something which could potentially be evil. Okay, we took something which, in its essence, is divided. Okay, it's ra, it's divided. Okay, and we incorporated it into a greater whole. Okay? The first mitzvah that the Jewish nation performs as a nation. Okay, the first mitzvah that the Jewish nation performs. You know what? We can go even one step before that. The first mitzvah that mankind is ever given. What's the first mitzvah that we're ever given in the Torah? Be fruitful and multiply. That's a good answer, and I think that 99% of the people will answer that. Okay, but what I meant was the first time it actually says mitzvah. Over there it says that God blessed us and told us to be fruitful and multiply, okay? But the first time where it says Vayetzav, that we have a mitzvah by definition, okay, is not Rosh Chodesh. It's much earlier. It's right after the
Is it with the apple?
It's
Don't eat. Or don't eat from the tree.
almost. Okay? It says the passage says the following, okay? Pardon me? What did he say?
Is it to name all the animals?
Also not mitzvah by definition. Okay? Listen to the pasuk. Okay? And if I'm missing a few words, please forgive me. The pasuk says the following. Okay? Ve'itzav Hashem Elohim et ha'adam. Okay? And Hashem, God, okay, commanded or was mitzaveh. Okay? And we spoke about this term mitzvah a few weeks ago, or a few meetings ago. Okay? Hashem gave Adam the following mitzvah. Mikol etz hagan achol tochel. Eat from every single fruit in the Garden of Eden. But don't eat from this particular tree. Okay? What's the first mitzvah? It's to take our bodily functions, okay, our inclination to eat, to take our Yetzer Hara, okay, and to incorporate it into something greater. That's what a mitzvah is. Okay? Any mitzvah takes place and is performed by our physical body. Okay? That's what we're going to discuss next week. Okay, is kedusha and is mitzvot and stuff like that. The message of today is to understand the evil inclination is not some character over here telling me to do bad things. Okay, but it's an inclination deep inside of me which is good. Okay, and it's desirable, which is telling me to live a physical life. Okay, biologically, physically, with everything that has to do with it, from eating steak, which is Korban Pesach, which is, by the way, the first mitzvah the Jewish nation performed as a nation, was to eat Korban Pesach. Okay, from eating to performing marital relations to drinking alcohol. Okay, all these things. Okay, all these things which are under the category of the evil inclination, Yetzer Hara. Okay, these are what's called Tov Me'od. When they're brought into perspective and become part of the greater notions of life, okay, and they're incorporated to advance life in the wholest way, okay, and that's Tov Me'od. That's what the evil inclination is. Evil inclination equals Tov Me'od, okay, if we can bring it to the right place, okay. Have a fantastic day.
Well.